It was supposed to be a routine morning, the kind of day that unfolded like so many before it. For Dr. Evan Morrow, a renowned scientist and astrophysicist at the University of Geneva, it started like any other. Coffee in hand, papers scattered across his desk, the gentle hum of the university's research facility in the background. His research was centered on space, the study of alien civilizations, and the technologies that might one day make interstellar travel possible. But even in his wildest imagination, he never could have anticipated what was about to happen. The morning news broadcast, playing on the screen in the corner of his office, was interrupted by a flashing red banner at the bottom of the screen. The broadcast went silent, and then a voice, crisp and metallic, filled the room. "This is not a drill. We are receiving an unprecedented communication from an unknown source. Please remain calm." Evan turned his chair to face the screen, his mind racing. The world was already on edge after the strange appearance of a colossal ship that had appeared over Earth a few days ago. Governments had scrambled to respond, and military forces were on high alert. But no one had been prepared for what happened next. The voice on the screen continued, "Attention, the Galactic Empire has set its sights on Earth. One warning has been issued. You will have no other." Evan's heart raced as the weight of the message settled into his mind. The Galactic Empire. A phrase that sounded more like a plot line from a science fiction novel than something to take seriously. Yet here it was, broadcast across the world, with no explanation, no warning, just the stark message: prepare accordingly. He quickly tapped on his keyboard, pulling up all the available footage and transmissions from the past few days. His mind worked faster than his fingers could type, sifting through the growing data on the colossal alien ships that loomed above Earth. They were enormous, massive in fact, far beyond anything humanity had ever encountered. And yet they didn't seem hostile. They hovered in the atmosphere, casting enormous shadows across cities, but they made no moves to attack. Instead, they just watched, silently, patiently. The news footage played in a continuous loop. People in the streets, eyes turned to the sky, some panicking, others filming with their phones. Military jets flying around the ships in tight formations, attempting to make contact, but always falling short. Messages had been sent, but none had been received. The ships remained indifferent. Evan's eyes narrowed as he scrolled through the data again. There had to be something he was missing. A pattern, a clue, some kind of signal that could help explain the situation. He'd pulled up his own research. The study of alien signals, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence, SETI, and the theoretical physics that govern space travel. He had spent years working on theories of interstellar communication, and yet nothing had prepared him for what he was about to uncover. As he reviewed satellite images of the ships, something caught his eye. It was subtle at first, a faint, almost imperceptible fluctuation in the energy signature of the lead ship. It wasn't much, but Evan had spent enough time studying the nuances of space phenomena to know that this wasn't normal. He zoomed in, isolating the signature. There was a pattern in the fluctuation, as if they were speaking. He stood up from his desk, his heart pounding in his chest. Could it be? He opened a separate window on his computer and began typing in a series of commands to decode the signal. It wasn't a conventional radio signal, nor was it any form of communication humanity had ever encountered. But Evan had a theory. A stretch, maybe, but one he couldn't dismiss. The alien ships, the Galactic Empire, the warning. It was all too systematic, too precise to be random. The data poured in. First there was a low-frequency hum that reverberated through the system. Then a series of brief but sharp bursts of energy, followed by long stretches of silence. It was a rhythm, a language, not unlike a series of mathematical equations. The pulses themselves were the key. Evan had encountered something similar in his work with pulsars, highly regular and predictable signals emanating from distant stars. Could this be a form of language? A sequence of data transmitted across light years? He ran the signal through his algorithms, checking for patterns and correlations. After a few tense minutes, a breakthrough. The signal wasn't just a pattern. It was a direct translation of the Empire's warning. The Galactic Empire wasn't just broadcasting a threat, they were transmitting a code, a series of coordinates that led back to something hidden within Earth's orbit, something that, until now, had eluded humanity's gaze. A door opened in his mind, and the pieces of the puzzle started to fall into place. The ships in the sky weren't just there to watch. They were surveying, monitoring. They had been here long before the warning was given, and the signals had been tracing back to Earth's surface, searching for something. Evan's fingers flew over the keyboard, pulling up more data from his research. The coordinates that the signal pointed to led him to an uncharted area of space, far beyond Earth's satellites. There was something there, something hidden, that humanity had never noticed. It was a structure, an object of unimaginable size, buried just beyond the reach of Earth's detection systems. Evan's mind reeled. This was no accidental discovery. The ships were not only here to warn humanity, they were here to ensure that the discovery was made, that the people of Earth understood, that they knew the time had come to face what lay hidden beneath the surface of their world. But what was this discovery? What could it be? Evan stood still for a moment, the weight of his realization settling on his shoulders. The discovery wasn't just about the alien ships. It wasn't just about the Empire's warning. It was about something far older, something that predated human civilization, a secret buried in the depths of Earth itself, waiting to be uncovered by a species that had finally reached the stars and was now being forced to confront its own past. The Galactic Empire had known about this secret, and they had been watching for millennia, waiting for the right time to make contact. That time had come. But the question was, why now? Why Earth? Evan wasn't sure he had the answers, but he knew one thing for certain. The Empire had given its warning, but the true message lay within the discovery itself. Earth was not the first planet they had encountered, nor would it be the last. The message they had sent was not one of conquest or destruction. It was one of revelation. As the sun began to set outside his office window, Evan gathered his thoughts. He needed to act quickly. The world needed to know what he had discovered. But how could he make them understand? How could he explain something that, even to him, felt like a dream? The world was on the brink of something unimaginable. And Evan Morrow was the only one who truly understood the significance of the message the Galactic Empire had sent. They were not conquerors, not invaders. They were watchers. And they had come for something hidden beneath Earth's surface, something that only now was coming to light. But as Evan prepared to share his findings with the world, he knew one thing above all else. Humanity's future was no longer in its own hands. The Empire had set its sights on Earth, and there was no turning back. The discovery had been made, and now the world would have to face the consequences. The days that followed the sudden and mysterious appearance of the Galactic Empire's ships in Earth's orbit were filled with confusion and dread. Scientists, governments, and civilians alike scrambled to make sense of the looming alien presence. Some called it a warning, others saw it as the prelude to invasion, and a few even believed it might be a first step toward interstellar diplomacy. But there was one thing that could not be denied. The ships were here, and they had a purpose. Dr. Evan Morrow had spent the past week immersed in research, studying the signals emitted by the alien ships. Each day he delved deeper into the cryptic transmissions, attempting to decode their meaning, but the intricacies of the data overwhelmed even his extensive knowledge. What had once seemed like a bizarre coincidence, the Empire's message and the appearance of the ships, was slowly revealing itself as something far more profound. As he worked tirelessly at his computer, his mind swirling with a mixture of excitement and fear, Evan couldn't shake the nagging feeling that the discovery he was on the verge of making would change everything. It was in the early hours of the morning, after days of barely sleeping, that Evan found the final piece of the puzzle. He had been running the signals through multiple decoders and algorithms, trying to break through the complex language they were being transmitted in, and then, in a split second of clarity, it clicked. The signal was not merely a string of data or an alien language. It was a set of coordinates, hidden patterns of light and energy that, when properly aligned, created a map. This map pointed to a specific location in Earth's orbit, one that had never been detected by any human-made instruments. The object, or perhaps a structure, was located just beyond Earth's primary moon, shrouded in a thin veil of cosmic dust. It had been there unnoticed by humanity for millennia. Evan's heart raced as he examined the coordinates once more. His mind leapt between the implications. Could this be the reason the Empire had come? Were they searching for something? Or were they the guardians of it? He didn't know. But one thing was certain: the implications for humanity's future were profound. He quickly scrambled to contact his colleagues, experts in astrophysics, extraterrestrial studies, and military strategy. Their voices crackled through the line, filled with the same mixture of disbelief and urgency that he felt. It wasn't until he spoke to Dr. Isabel Chang, a fellow physicist who had worked with Evan for years, that the magnitude of his discovery became clear. "Evan," Isabel said, her voice steady but filled with shock, "if this is what I think it is, it could change everything. The coordinates lead to a place that shouldn't exist, or at least shouldn't be detectable with current technology. And you're telling me the Galactic Empire has known about it all this time?" Evan nodded, his mind still trying to process the information. "Yes, the ships were sent here for a reason. They're not just here to warn us, they're here to guide us, or to ensure we find whatever is hidden at that location." Isabel paused, her thoughts clearly racing. But what if we're not supposed to find it? What if the Empire is trying to protect it from us? What if they're not trying to help us? What if they're keeping us from some terrible secret? Evan's heart skipped a beat. The idea had crossed his mind, but he had pushed it away. If the Empire had been monitoring Earth for centuries, then surely they would have made their intentions clearer by now. Why wait for humanity to reach the point of discovering this hidden structure if they weren't planning to make contact? He wondered if it was possible the man had somehow overheard something and was hoping they would share their thoughts with him. But he supposed it was as much as high praise as anyone could hope for. But Isabel's words lingered in his mind. What if the Empire was not our savior, but our jailer? As the sun rose, casting a pale light over the university campus, Evan stood in front of his desk, staring at the map on his computer screen. The coordinates pinpointed a spot in space that was both near and far, a location that, even with the most advanced telescopes and satellites, had never been identified. To the untrained eye, it seemed like nothing more than an area of space that had been overlooked, a speck of cosmic dust lost among the stars. But Evan knew better. The Galactic Empire's presence on Earth, the warning message, the signal, everything pointed to one thing. There was something here, something hidden in plain sight. It was only now, as he stared at the screen, that he truly realized the scale of what was at stake. The next few days passed in a blur. Evan and Isabel were joined by a team of scientists, engineers, and military experts from around the world, each one trying to unravel the mystery of the hidden structure. News outlets were abuzz with speculation and fear, but no one knew what to make of the Empire's quiet presence in the sky. Meanwhile, the alien ships continued to hover above Earth, their shadows stretching across continents, their silent observation a constant reminder that humanity was no longer alone in the universe. The warning had been given, but no further communication had been made. It was as if the Empire were waiting, watching, to see what humanity would do next. The United Nations convened an emergency summit, and world leaders gathered to discuss the next steps. Despite the fear and uncertainty, there was a sense of reluctant unity among the nations. The knowledge that they were all in this together, facing an unknown force from the stars, brought humanity closer than it had been in generations. But even as they worked to prepare for what was to come, there was no consensus on how to approach the Galactic Empire. Would they attempt to make contact and seek peaceful negotiation? Would they resist the alien presence with force, hoping to drive them off before it was too late? Or would they heed the warning and prepare for whatever the Empire had planned? No one had answers. Not even the scientists working around the clock to decode the messages from the ships could say for sure what the Empire's intentions were. It was then, amid the whirlwind of activity, that Evan received a message, a personal transmission from an unknown source. It was brief but unmistakable. "We have been watching for centuries. The time is near. Proceed with caution." The message sent a chill through his spine. Who had sent it? Was it from the Empire, or was it someone or something else entirely? Heaven didn't know. But the words haunted him. The time is near. The weeks that followed were filled with tense anticipation. Every nation on Earth scrambled to prepare, from military defense to emergency protocols. Meanwhile, Evan and his team worked tirelessly to decipher the nature of the hidden structure. It wasn't just an ordinary object. It was something far more complex, something that defied everything they thought they knew about physics and technology. The readings they were getting from the structure were unlike anything on Earth. It was as though it existed in a state of quantum uncertainty, flickering between dimensions, appearing and disappearing in a way that should have been impossible. Then, one day, everything changed. A massive fleet of alien ships, larger than any before, appeared above Earth. They descended, blocking out the sun and casting the planet in a shadow of uncertainty. As the ships hovered above major cities around the world, the Galactic Empire finally spoke once more. "The structure is awakening. The time has come to face the truth." The words echoed across the globe, heard in every language, on every screen, and in every corner of the Earth. The world fell silent, the gravity of the message sinking in. "So I thought exercise is worth less after all." The Galactic Empire had been waiting for this moment, and now the hidden structure, the secret buried in Earth's orbit, was about to be revealed. Humanity had been given one warning, one chance to prepare for the truth. But what would they find? This discovery was not just a scientific breakthrough, it was a revelation of humanity's place in the universe, and Evan Morrow had unwittingly become the key to unlocking it. As the final pieces of the puzzle came together, he realized that the Galactic Empire had come not to conquer, but to test. They were offering humanity a choice, a path to the stars or a path to extinction. In the coming days, Evan would have to decide. Would he trust the Empire's words and help guide humanity into this new era, or would he fight to protect the secret that had been hidden for so long? The discovery had been made. Now humanity's future hung in the balance. The tremors of unease were palpable across the globe. Humanity had been thrust into a new epoch, one where the fate of the Earth no longer rested solely in the hands of its governments or its people. The looming presence of the Galactic Empire, coupled with the recent discovery of something ancient and hidden in Earth's orbit, left the world in a state of fearful anticipation. In every corner of the planet, people felt the weight of history pressing down on them, as though they stood at the precipice of an unknown future. The Empire had warned Earth of its purpose, its ships hovering above, watching, waiting. But what was it they sought? What had humanity inadvertently uncovered? Dr. Evan Morrow, exhausted yet driven by the magnitude of the situation, spent sleepless nights with his team, trying to unravel the secrets hidden beneath the surface of the discovery. The structure, or whatever it was, had continued to evade human detection for centuries, perhaps millennia. The Galactic Empire knew about it. They had been watching Earth for longer than anyone realized. It was clear that this discovery was no mere relic. It was something of great importance, something that could reshape the course of human history. The message sent from the Empire was chilling in its simplicity. The structure is awakening. The time has come to face the truth. For days, Evan couldn't sleep. The implications of the discovery, the Empire's warning, and the sudden appearance of the vast fleet of alien ships over Earth cities swirled in his mind. His thoughts were as fragmented as the signal from the ships, disjointed, unpredictable, yet filled with an undeniable certainty. He found himself pacing around his lab, alone with his thoughts, trying to connect the dots. The structure was no ordinary satellite, asteroid, or space station. Its fluctuations, the energy signatures he had studied, were too advanced, too sophisticated. Whatever lay within that field of cosmic dust, just beyond Earth's moon, was connected to a greater purpose, one that had been hidden from humanity for reasons unknown. It was Isabel who first suggested they attempt to make direct contact with the structure. They had exhausted every method of analyzing the object from a distance. Every sensor, every satellite, and every probe had failed to yield a conclusive answer. The structure itself was like a shadow in space, intangible and elusive, flickering in and out of existence like a mirage. Perhaps, Isabel hypothesized, the key to understanding it lay in approaching it directly. With the Empire hovering above, the question was not whether humanity could reach the structure, but whether they had the courage to do so. It was an idea that sent chills down Evan's spine. "We're not ready for this," he muttered, staring out the window into the cold, darkened night. "The Empire has been waiting for this moment. We don't even know what's hidden out there. What if we fail?" Isabel finished his thought, her voice quiet but resolute. "What if we don't?" Evan turned to face her, his brow furrowed with uncertainty. "We might not be able to undo whatever it is we find. The Empire, they could just be observing. But what if we're part of some kind of test, some reckoning?" Isabel stepped closer, her gaze unwavering. "Or maybe this is our chance to prove we can rise to the challenge. They're not just watching us, Evan. They're waiting for us to make the first move." Evan didn't respond at first. The gravity of her words hung heavily in the air. It was as if the universe itself was holding its breath, waiting for humanity to decide. With the Empire's ships in orbit, it felt as though the weight of the stars themselves was bearing down on Earth. A week later, the plan was set into motion. As the Empire's fleet remained stationed above Earth, a decision had been made. The UN had come together to form an unprecedented global coalition, with resources pooled from every nation on Earth. They would send a crew of the best and brightest minds, including Evan and Isabel, to investigate the structure, which had now been formally designated as Object X. The mission would be dangerous. No one knew what awaited them at the coordinates the Galactic Empire had laid out, but it was a necessary step. Humanity had no choice but to face what was hidden in space. The spacecraft, designated Odyssey, was the pinnacle of human engineering. It was a marvel of technology, designed for long-return deep space exploration. As the countdown for launch approached, Evan stood in front of the spacecraft's control room, his mind racing with doubt and anxiety. His hands shook slightly as he reviewed the mission parameters on his tablet. He had spent years studying astrophysics, space travel, and the possibility of alien contact, but nothing had prepared him for the reality of this moment. What if they weren't ready? What if they were not meant to find what lay in the darkness? "I don't think I can do this," Evan whispered, more to himself than anyone else. Isabel placed a steady hand on his shoulder. "You don't have to do this alone. None of us do. We've been given a chance to shape our destiny, Evan. We've come this far, and there's no turning back now." As the final moments before launch ticked away, Evan made a silent promise to himself. He would not let fear dictate his choices. The fate of humanity was in his hands, and the time had come to face whatever the Empire had prepared. The engines roared to life, shaking the ground beneath their feet. The Odyssey slowly ascended from Earth's surface, its path charted toward the hidden structure that had become humanity's ultimate mystery. The sky above was silent, save for the rumbling of the spacecraft as it broke through the atmosphere. Through the windows, Evan could see the faint outline of the Empire's ships, still hovering above, their sheer size and quiet presence a constant reminder of the unknown forces at play. There was no turning back. As they ventured farther into space, Earth slowly receded into the distance. The crew remained silent, lost in their thoughts as the stars glittered around them like diamonds in a vast ocean of darkness. The journey was long, but it was the destination that weighed heavily on everyone's minds. When they reached the location specified by the Galactic Empire's coordinates, the crew was struck by a profound silence. The structure, hidden behind layers of cosmic dust, suddenly came into view, its massive shape revealing itself as they approached. It was no asteroid, no station, but an enormous, intricate construct that seemed to defy the very laws of physics. It was an artifact of unimaginable scale, glowing faintly with an eerie light, as though it were pulsing with energy. Evan's breath caught in his throat. This was it, the discovery. But the object, or whatever it was, remained silent. It had no markings, no symbols, no obvious features, just a geometric pattern of interlocking shapes that seemed to shift and change as the Odyssey drew closer. The closer they got, the more disorienting it became. The structure bent the very fabric of space around it, creating strange distortions that made it seem as though the object existed in multiple dimensions at once. As the crew approached the outer layer of the structure, they could see that it was encased in a translucent field, an energy barrier that flickered as they neared. It was unlike anything the human race had ever seen. The ships that hovered above Earth had remained passive, but here the structure itself seemed to be alive with energy. Pulses of light moved in waves across its surface, and the space around it warped as if the object was calling to them. Evan reached for the communication panel, his voice trembling as he spoke into the mic. "We've reached it. We're close enough. What should we do?" The silence on the other end of the line was deafening. A moment later, the voice of the Empire's emissary crackled through the comms, distorted but clear. "The structure awaits. Enter at your own peril. We have watched. We have waited." The words echoed in Evan's mind, but they were far from reassuring. The crew exchanged uneasy glances as the ship inched closer to the structure's energy field. There was no turning back. Evan felt the weight of the moment pressing down on him as he looked toward the unknown ahead. The Galactic Empire had given its warning. Now, it was time for humanity to face the truth, whatever that truth might be. The Odyssey was now committed, and humanity was poised to unravel the secret of the stars. But as the ship's hull touched the energy barrier, everything changed. The field rippled, and for the briefest of moments, Evan felt an overwhelming presence. A sensation of vastness, of something ancient, something much older than the Earth itself. Then the structure opened,